gone, yet we are here with an unidentified and unspoken pandemic. Yes, my dear friends, we are in the middle of crisis. We are in the middle of a silent pandemic which has not yet been well captured by the media, by our local systems, or even by the public. And now this pandemic has become so profound that it has started affecting our whole education system. I am Seema Tanwar. I am an educationist and a passionate social worker, and I work in multiple areas for women upliftment, for children education and healthcare. And as a part of my work, I do interact with a lot of women, with a lot of parents, educators, government institutions, as well as a lot of children. And I have been witnessing this pandemic for the last 1 year. And now it's my social responsibility to talk about it in the next 18 minutes. So the last 1 year has been a wonderful experience for each and every educator, including me, because it has been life coming back to all our schools, all our education institutions, all the laughter, the joy, the happiness, the hugs, the love has been coming back into our classrooms. Along with that, of course, a little bit of fear, anxiety, the parents' issues, that goes along well with the settling down. At the same time, I did notice that many children were coming back with learning difficulties, with speech delays, with special needs. And by special needs, I mean some of those children who have maybe more permanently moved into these categories of ADHD, autism, sensory disorders. Some might be in just a passing phase of learning delays, of speech disorders. But yes, I did witness an exponential rise. So I started asking myself, is it only in all my schools? Or is it that everybody is facing the same issue in their own schools? And you know how we all are these days. We are all attuned to a lot of online information. We trust our online guru the most, the Google Baba, whom we call. So I went online to Google out some information about what is going on in the education industry. And there it was a big eye-opener for me. In the US education market, before COVID, there were about 13% children who were registered under the IDEA, which is the Disability Act, which catered to about 6.5 million children. Post-COVID, and even during COVID, when schools started reopening and children started coming back, these numbers had risen to about 7.2 million children, 15% of the children registered under IDEA. The numbers are 2% rise. However, the 2% is resulting in millions of children. Now, can you all imagine a situation where there are millions of children coming back post-COVID into schools with so many learning difficulties, developmental disorders, speech delays? It is a pandemic for the education industry to handle. I started researching even more and wanted some more information about our own market, about the Indian education market. So again, I went online. Unfortunately, there was not a lot of information which was available. So I started asking my primary methods, of course, the different school principals, founders, teachers whom I'm connected with, and I asked them a few key questions. What have you been witnessing? What is the data prior COVID, post-COVID? And again, it was shocking because not only there was a rise in the number of children, there was a cry out for help. There were a lot of educators who were not able to handle the situation in the schools simply because we were not capable of handling so many children back who were coming back with the special needs. All the teachers in the schools are never trained as to how to handle special needs children. Again, to reconfirm my research, recently some papers were released, research papers were being released by ECA and APER organization, led by Dr. Swati Popat-Vats, which had rolled out a survey to about, I think, 3,500 parents and teachers. And out of them, parents reported about 40% raise in the special needs children, in children who were having speech delays, and educators reported about 20% of the children who were coming back with disorders, deficiency in attention, etc., etc. So many other disorders as well. So yes, we were in a crisis, but the good thing is that with every crisis comes an inspiration, comes an opportunity to work better, to build back better an education system which is more resilient, which is more inclusive towards these children. We are all capable of handling these children along with all the other children. And of course, which is more sustainable, which does not break down in situations like COVID. So what happened during COVID? Why so much of learning gap? Of course, we have witnessed all of the learning gaps, the total school breakdowns, discontinuation in the healthcare. All of those resulted in a lot of gap because suddenly the primary childcare responsibility was shifted from the schools to a parent. Those parents who were already struggling between job losses, between a lot of work from home responsibilities, between all the household chores that they needed to handle, and not to forget that many of these things were disproportionately shifted to the working lady of the house. The lady who had to suddenly manage all of the studies, the classwork, the homework, the household chores, the anxieties which were there existing during the COVID. It all led to a lot of imbalance in the family life, a lot of mental health issues, which not only affected the parents as well as the children. The parents passed on a lot of anxieties to the children. Now, what does a school do? A school is a beautiful learning environment for a child which constantly gives them the inputs of play, of real life experiences, of a lot of outdoor activities, lot of things which they completely missed out during the COVID. We all know that a child's development, especially the cognitive development, is directly linked to a lot of outdoor activities, a lot of real life experiences, inputs that they only and only get in the school, the battles that they fight, the negotiations that they do with their right peer age group, under a structured environment with experienced teachers. Everything was nullified during COVID. So the right wiring in the brain went missing. We all need to now come together to rewire a child's brain. We need to give them those positive experiences, take them out of the stress, because a lot of children have only witnessed stress during the COVID period. Of course, this requires mass intervention because there are so many children involved, and this calls for collaborative and coordinated action. The first stakeholders being the parents and the grandparents themselves, because that is where it starts. It all starts from home. There has been clear guidelines which is mentioned in WHO, which has also been transferred to our NCF, which is the National Curriculum Framework, which is released recently, as to how to identify a child who is having learning delays, speech delays, or they are resulting in special needs. Now, a lot of parents as well as educators are not aware as to how to identify a child. Simple things like, is the child able to maintain eye contact? Is the child able to follow simple instructions? Does he talk back, or does he just use their hand gestures and not able to talk back at all? Now, we might say it is a language delay, which might seem like a simple term, and which is why it has been ignored by a lot of parents as well. But it is not simple, because what happens is a language delay or a speech delay also boils down to a lot more aggression when the child is not able to communicate. They might start showing more aggression towards the other child in the class, biting, hitting, throwing things, shouting, shrieking because he's not able to communicate, and all that disrupts the education, the learning which is happening in a regular classroom. So that is how we need to identify first. The parents need to be taught how to identify, even the regular educators who are there in the schools. After identification comes acceptance. If the parents do not accept, and this is the time when the other two big stakeholders, the government as well as the education institutions, need to really support the parent through counseling, through showing a path ahead as to what needs to be done next. So we need to do massive campaigns to address this issue. We need to all start working collaboratively. This is the solution that we need to have. In fact, in terms of even schools and education institutions, there needs to be special needs educators, child psychologists. Of course, many of the bigger schools do have this provision, but many and most of the small schools, preschools, do not have. If we have to cater to so many special needs children who are coming back into our system, every school needs to have specialized teachers, even child psychologists, who can identify and work with these children. The government needs to provide free trainings to address all of these issues, set up more early intervention centers where children can go, where there can be free trainings, free sessions to address this mass issue. Well, I am really inspired by all of this to work better, to build back better. And I think COVID has really taught us that we all need to work collectively in a coordinated manner, because that is how we can all solve this issue together. After all, every child deserves a future and a better education. That is why we need to give them a better education in India as well. I am inspired to build back better. Are you all with me? Thank you.